at least send it to people who people who are interested in the project, and maybe that gets you some more views and maybe more subscribers on your channel, or
I'm more interested in getting you some more of them sweet consortium ducats, Get it out there. People buy Ed's game. If I get some subs out of it, that's great. But I'm here for you.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to share the love, as it were.
Please. As the song says.
There we go. I've just put an update up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to always talk to me.
Oh no, dude. I enjoy talking to you.
Thanks, man.
No trouble at all. And I always enjoy good questions made from a perceptive point of view.
I will do my best. Though we gave Consortium a pretty good overview last time.
Well,
would you say it's done? It's ready to go. The 10th anniversary. It's ready to hatch on Kickstarter, right?
It's on Kickstarter now, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
You've already got the link, right?
Yeah.
It's
in the description of the video.
There's a little bit of work to do on the 10th anniversary book, but not a lot. And but the expansions are something I can now talk about completely freely. So the 3 expansions on funding. There's
how many funding goals did you throw in this time?
7.
7 goals. Okay.
7 so far. So plenty to go for. There's a card deck. There's some more expansions, some of which I've been planning for a very long time. The Armory has actually been an expansion that's been announced as a thing I'd like to do ever since my very first expansion's Kickstarter, and it's always just been beyond the end, So there are a lot of things that I can talk about that I didn't know for certain I was going to be offering. There's the pocket version of the rulebook, which
I am a big fan of.
Links into the living campaign. So there's loads of stuff we can still talk about. I'm not worried about
that. Okay. You mentioned the cards. Are these going to be art cards or cards that actually work with the mechanics?
They are cards which offer. In fact, let me very quickly share my screen and show you, so I don't have to kind of try and explain or something.
Because that seems to be the big thing lately, is everybody's getting back into cards.
So this is a little different. It's more. Where are we? Character cards.
Oh, so art and NPCs?
No, yes, and art and stats. So I've got. Is that coming up for you?
Add to stage.
So I've chosen 54 characters from the artwork that already existed for our rulebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I've done is I've done stats for them. So the GM would be able to hold up the card looking at the back, but having the front to show, oh, this is Simon Nelson. He looks like this. So the players can sort of anchor on it. But also it's got all the stats for a variety of different characters, from humans to Eulutians to Zimians to anything else. Whatever you might like.
I love the cards. I've always been the fan of the cards. I think the cards are a great prop for.
I think if I was holding up a card to my players in person more
to show you online, yeah,
but to go, hey, yeah, or you can clip it to the front of your GM screen and if you've got a see-through aspect of your GM screen, you can look at the stats through that, and there are loads and loads of options. I've been toying with this idea for over a year now, and it's taken me a very long time to get it sorted out. But it's finally at the point where we've got these cards and we're able to offer this sort of this group of individuals, which some of them consortium, some of them secretly resistant, some of them are non-aligned. But they're all the kind of people you might come across. And after doing the Settlements and People book and how much I rely on it for naming a character on the fly, because I am terrible at names. I am literally the worst at names. I felt that it would be a really nice idea to include that. So I made it, it's the first stretch goal of this campaign. If we get to 4,000, it's unlocked. That's £4,000. I think it's about $5,000, give or take. So yeah, I mean, that's something I'm very enthusiastic about. It's not something I've ever done before for any game. I've made card games. I've even made a game which had cards as part of the mechanics, Era Survival. But to actually make cards for supporting the GM, that's a first for me. And I think Era of the Consortium is the natural place for that to happen.
Oh yeah, they're such a great tool, which is probably why they're suddenly becoming really popular again. I've noticed, I do Kickstarters every week, and I'm noticing more and more people are throwing in prop cards.
Yeah, I mean
NPCs of devices of stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw in new mechanics just for the sake of it. So cards are already a mechanic in Era Survival, but I felt like Era of the Consortium needs to be done a little differently. And what I came up with was, this is a great way of giving you, just a standard playing card sized card deck that really has utility in the moment.
And that's the first stretch goal?
That's the first stretch goal. The second stretch goal is a new expansion. Actually, you've just scrolled down very slightly too far because that top image there shows the stretch goals. So any backer, you can basically choose between the 420-page full-on Era of the Consortium rulebook. That is a chunky boy. I've got one over here actually. This is the 5th anniversary one. The 10th anniversary is going to be the same size. It's a hardback A4, 420 pages long.
Yipes!
The 10th anniversary. Sorry,
that's a game. 420 pages.
That's a big one. That's a big one. It's got the full history of the Consortium, which, any watchers will remember from last time. But just in case, the idea is not that you sit there and read the entire history and know it. It's that you jump in where you want to in the history to play any subgenre of sci-fi you would like. This version of the rulebook actually even has a double page at the back here, which I'll show to you, which is intended to tell you where for 44 different kinds of sci-fi, where it is in the history that you go in.
That's cool.
Full list of, if you like alien technology or what's your favorite subgenre of sci-fi?
Oh, I don't know. Not counting big stompy robots.
Sorry?
Not counting big stompy robots.
Not counting big stompy robots, but there are big stompy robots.
I don't know.
Big stompy robots in the Bug War. Big stompy robots a little later on as well.
I like the Expanse a lot. So I like the more.
Okay, so like that exploration sort of feeling. Not exactly exploration, but more like going from A to B and worrying about whether you're going to live through it. So.
But
74 CE, when pirates are sort of preying on a lot of people, that it's very lonely out in space. There's 107 CE when you're exploring the Damara system for the first time. Humans have never encountered aliens yet. And it's sort of unknown how long you're going to be traveling between the planets or what you're going to find when you get to the planet. I think that's a very interesting flavor, sort of similar to what you're talking about. As I said,
I can't think of ever running into that before in a game. Maybe GURPS Space, and because they did such great.
GURPS is trying to do something a little different to what I'm trying to do. Oh, I'm really sorry. My sound turned off there for a second. I think I spoke over you. Sorry.
No, go ahead. So just giving, I love that idea. Just, you have this mega timeline, which I think is pretty rare. I can't think of any other games that's done something like this where somebody can sit down and go, let's do Firefly. I really want to do Firefly. And you go, oh, Firefly is between this period and this period. And somebody else comes and goes, I want to do Star Wars. And you go, that's really cool.
That's towards the end. Yeah, absolutely. That is what Era of the Consortium was always all about. When I first wrote it, I I'm a massive sci-fi fan. I have loved Star Trek all my life, Star Wars all my life. I read Foundation when I was 11. I read Dune when I was 11. Many of the sci-fi greats throughout my life. They've been very formative for me. And I thought, well, I mean, I love these things, but I don't want to buy a Star Wars game and a Firefly game and a Star Trek game and a Farscape game and you name it. They're all separate games running on separate rule sets. I wanted to make a game where you can play any sci-fi. If you're a sci-fi fan like me, that's what this game is for, right? You don't have to go, oh, well, the only way that I can get a flavor of Star Trek or a flavor of Star Wars is to buy the Star Trek or Star Wars game. Era of the Consortium does everything.
I love that. That's so cool.
And rather than I understand what GURPS was trying to do, and I think that GURPS has some mechanical issues from trying to do literally everything.
Yes.
Within sci-fi, it's a much smaller space, and the only real hand wave I've had to do mechanically to make things balance is say, well, as things advance, so like as weapons advance, so do armor.
Yeah.
So a handgun against the same kind of armor is the same at the beginning as at the end of the timeline because armor has advanced as the handguns advanced, and they're the same level of protection all the way through. That's the only hand wave I've really had to do around mechanics. And I think that's very effective. So obviously that's the 420 page big boy.
Mm-hmm.
The Pocket Edition, on the other hand, let me pull this one out. It's not the Era of the Consortium Pocket, for the record. It's Era Silence, one of my other Pocket games. But here you go. This is half the size of that book in page size. It's A5. It's 50 pages long, this one. The Era of the Consortium one is 70 pages long. And what that does is give you every single character creation option, every single equipment option, all of the rules, GM stuff, and a limited amount of the history so that you can play in our living campaign. So Era of the Consortium is home to a living campaign, which allows anyone to change the history of the world, change the state of the world, change where we're at now. And the living campaign is an opportunity to really build your mark into the Consortium. We just did a 24-hour game to celebrate the 10th anniversary. The stream is on the Kickstarter, in fact.
Cool.
And we blew up a planet. One of the planets no longer exists. It is rubble. 200 million people died. They just wiped out an entire planet. That was what the players chose to do.
Nice. They must be so proud.
And you have that flexibility within Era of the Consortium to do whatever you like. You can change the universe through that living campaign. And the Pocket Rulebook, while it doesn't offer all of that 500 years of history, it gives you the most commonly played era of the Consortium, as it were, through that living campaign compatibility. And it's also compatibility with all 18 existing expansions and also the 3 to 6 new ones that we have planned at the moment.
Cool. 18 expansions for Consortium.
That's correct.
And that's not counting all the other
not counting new ones or the new games other than Consortium. Correct. They're right here on my bookshelf. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but they're right here on my bookshelf. We've got we've got James Bond in space, secret agents, for one side or the other. We've got the arrival of a 5th alien race, which changes what the Consortium understands about its destiny. We've got enhanced hacking rules, because I always find that hacking in sci-fi, it can be really boring if you're the hacker. Everyone else gets to do combat and defend you. So I changed the hacking rules to make it more like combat, so that you're doing combat effectively the same way that everyone else is doing combat. You're fighting the computer sprites within the, and I just showed my age there. You're fighting the computer sprites within the system that you're hacking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think sprites exist anymore. I'm not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
They did when I was a programmer. We've got psionics, which lets you have these psionic powers. They let you affect other people's minds. You can mentally slap someone. You can link people telepathically. You can make someone believe they're on fire. You can confuse and daze them. and so on and so on. You can even make someone, an enemy or a friend, repeat an action that they did last turn. They're just forced into it. We call it deja vu. You're just forced into doing the same thing again. You can't help yourself. That was the first wave of expansions, which also came with 3 time travel campaign expansions. We've written a time travel campaign with 50 sessions so far. It'll go to 60 with this Kickstarter being funded. Where you go back in time and change the Consortium's history from beginning to end as you to adjust it so that the future is not the disaster that you experience in the first session. So the first 3 books of that, first 30 sessions, came with that first wave of expansions. And there was one other in the first wave of expansions, Revival, which was a survival horror slant on sci-fi to give you the Aliens and Dead Space feel. I'm a massive Dead Space fan, and Aliens is one of my all-time most watched movies. I love those 2 things, and I wanted to bring that to life on tabletop. It started out, I was intending a 5-session campaign. It became a 15-session campaign with a full bestiary, maps of the ship. Let me give you a quick glimpse of maps of the ship here that we did. I was doing maps of the ship to, let people see what the places they're going look like. I've got a big one here with all of the ship. There we go. That's the entire ship you'll go on, and all you have to do is escape and get out alive.
Yeah.
Right?
Simple as that.
Not too hard. So that was the end of the first wave of expansions. Then there was Free Trader. I'm a big Traveller fan, and I always loved the fact that you could go around and you had like prices for all these different types of cargo at all the different places. If you want to bring that to your tabletop, Free Trader does that. We've got a predictive genetic algorithm, which allows you to build your own alien race and integrates it into the story that these alien races exist and why. So it's not like a non-canon alien race you're building. They exist in the universe based on what you build, right? We've got Home Base, which allows you to build your own sort of your HQ to have various different rooms that give you advantages on a mission or between missions. You can train up or improve or gain money or whatever it is you want to do. Have a nice space to rest and so on. We've got New Worlds, which was another. I mean, exploration is such a core to sci-fi, and I really wanted to make sure that it was really felt. And New Worlds was another expansion which brought this feeling of exploration, but in the late Consortium. So you've got all the tech. You're not short of tech, but you're still exploring for the first time these new places. That was the second wave of expansions, which also included Time Travel Part 4. After that, we went on. We weren't done. I told you 18. I meant it. We did Creatures in the Outsystem. Things that, those rumors, those stories that you hear as, deep space pilots gather in the bars to exchange stories of blood-chilling terror.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. You've got this stuff. You've got... and all these adventure seeds that you could encounter, these races, all these planets, all these places, the floating island that's actually a creature on this oceanic world, all the things that we could think of that are kind of like, oh yeah, that feels like a sci-fi thing I'd like to include. We've got the Living Campaign book. I made a campaign book so that people who like to have pre-made sessions, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. People who like pre-made sessions, I want people to feel like they can participate in the Living Campaign without having to build their own session every time. I wrote 35 sessions for the Living Campaign and put them in a book. We wrote the Keep the Peace campaign, where you play as a Smirtial Security Peacekeeper, a policeman, more or less. But it's right after the Bug War, right after the Zimians were defeated and surrendered. And the Consortium has set up these Zimian-specific areas where only Zimians live. And I wouldn't say it's high crime, but I would say that it's a very challenging thing for any non-Zimian to police.
So District 9, yeah.
And you're sort of choosing, do I want to be like one of the community, like a community hero? Do I want to be by the book so all the companies like me and give me all the equipment? Do I want to be like a corporate stooge? So one company like favors me and puts in a good word for me. And depending on the way the group behave, you have different reactions from the community, different reactions from the people who might help you or not. And you've got to sort of start making choices about who's on your side and who isn't. As you police these Zimian specific areas. A lot of the companies want you to be brutal with the Zimians. You know, they want you to gun down anyone who even vaguely breaks the law. Whereas, you know, you can be this community hero and have the community come to your aid when you start having problems. So it's a really fun idea around, you know, that moral compass as a peacekeeper, as a policeman, I guess, and how you apply that within the consortium. And then there was another time travel session, so time travel part 5. So yeah, 18 expansions already.
18 expansions.
3 more coming when this is funded. We've got the Armory. This has been planned for such a long time now. We wanted to bring something to life where you have the opportunity to have a broader set of options for weaponry. Not that the Consortium rulebook with well over 100 choices for weapons and armor and equipment is sparse, but there's always more you can add in sci-fi. And sci-fi, a big part of sci-fi for me is enjoying the gadgets.
Yes, oh god.
And many expansions add gadgets. The 5th race in particular adds a large number. But I think the Armory can collect all that together and add more. I don't have a laser carbine at the moment. What's the difference between a laser rifle and a laser carbine? Well, that's an interesting question. That's a thing I'm working on. I'm making some decisions on those sorts of subjects. For some reason, I don't have any incendiary grenades, which deeply embarrassed me when I looked for them during the 24-hour game. But it's the way it is. You know, I didn't have any. So that's the Armory.
Is that going to use something similar to the Guns in the Old West game you did?
I'm not planning for it to, although I do plan to provide some customization options for weapon and armor, because I think that would be a very important thing to do.
I love that. I love that.
But I like the Dead West thing being for Dead West. I don't want to just deliver the same mechanics that I did in another game in Era of the Consortium. I want it to be its own thing. Mm-hmm. You can already add the stuff from Era Dead West into Era of the Consortium if you'd like to. Anyone with both games can do that trivially. So I don't want to make that the thing that is the major offering of the Armory. I want to look at it another way. I want to sideways look at expansion of weapons and armor and a way that you might do it. I may look a little more at Dead Space and how that does it. You know, like look at. I don't like to copy mechanics from games. We've talked about that before. Back when we spoke about Lost Legend, I think.
Yes.
I don't like to copy it. I like to copy the feel of it. I like to distill it down to its essence, understand what it is, and deliver the feel of that thing, rather than saying, "Oh, yeah, here's a copy." I think that's really important. So that's what I want to do. And I will be looking at Dead Space. I will be looking at Horizon Zero Dawn, to be honest. That's a thing that I quite like. Because it's quite a limited expansion on what you can do. You only have a limited number of slots on the weapon, and you have to make some choices. But some of those choices can be quite powerful, especially if you stack them. So yeah, that's the sort of thing I'm looking at in the Armory. I've not written it yet. I have a good idea, and I've written many of the bits of it, but I've not fully written it and fully finalized it yet. That's only the first of the expansions. The second expansion...
Take a nap!
Yeah, I just can't, man.
Your kids are starting to forget what you look like.
I've got so much to do and so little time. The second of the expansions, my brain keeps struggling with this one. Oh yeah, company handbook. Why do I keep struggling with that? I don't even know. The company handbook lets you build your own company. It can't become one of the big 8. I'm not going to be offering that because the company handbook is not about the big 8. What it's about is the Senate. And you can become one of the top 200 companies in the consortium. You can become a Senate company if you can prove that you can get there and you can fulfill the mechanics involved. You can be a Senate company and understand what that means for you as an organization. You can build your own small company that succeeds beyond your wildest dreams. That might be I don't know, that might be an Shades of Vengeance simulator. But in seriousness, the company handbook is about giving you the chance to understand what pressures exist on a company, because the Senate is not an easy place to exist as a corporate entity, and it's deliberately not. And I've talked about it a bit in the extensive history that I've given, but I haven't really offered many of the rules that I sort of have in mind for how it would be if your organization was part of that Senate. And then finally, the final expansion is the Time Travel Part 6. Time Travel Part 5 left off with, it could have been the end of the campaign, but it was still halfway through the bug war. And I think that you ending the bug war in a big, sort of in your way, with your options and the choices that you choose, is a really impactful thing to include in Era of the Consortium. So I wanted to come back and do Time Travel Part 6. I don't know if there will be a Part 7. There might be. I'm not sure. But I did want Part 6 to exist. I felt it was really important.
Cool. Time travel.
Time travel, reshape that 450, 500 years of history in your own image, in the way that you want to do it. Become the guys in charge.
Exactly. Yes. Mine the time travel for all its resources. Blah blah blah. So you mentioned the living campaign. Is that on the Discord? Is that just
so we often play games on the Discord that are in the living campaign, but if you you have a browser open there, why don't you go to era-games.com. In fact, I'll send you the link, but I'll read it as well for anyone who's watching. era-games.com/era-the-consortium, so Era the Consortium, if I can type, /living-campaign. And that is a full list of everything that has so far happened on the living campaign. It gives you a map of where we're currently at. It's the Consortium versus the Resistance. Who can take control? Now, I am happy to say that the proud forces of Order and the Consortium are winning this battle by a significant margin, because all of the other GMs decide to play Resistance most of the time, and I end up having to run the Consortium sessions. So I am the Consortium guy.
So it's an email thing.
No. You will. Do you want to open it up on the screen and I can maybe talk you through it a bit?
Hold on. So it says, how do my group to participate? Send you the details of the session.
Yes, that's true. But the idea is that you play your own session your own way.
Yes.
Right.
And then we send it to you if we think it's.
Or you can reach out on Discord. It doesn't have to be an email thing. Discord's fine too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it so I can understand what it is and what effect it's going to have.
Yeah.
And then if you scroll down from there, you'll see the map of how things are going right now. You can click on that to enlarge, I believe. It might open a new tab, so you might have to share that tab. I'm sorry.
No problem. It's one of the weird things about these things is you can only do one tab at a time unless you pay for it. I'm sorry, I'm not paying for it.
Oh, I understand. So you'll see here, I mean, it's a little small on my screen, but if you've got this full screen, I'm sure you'll be able to see. The blue areas are Consortium controlled, and the red areas are Resistance controlled.
Yeah, so on this one right here, it's got a little blue and then a
red.
Yeah,
a little bit of red. So there are some worlds, small worlds around Vicious. You can see if you move over on the right-hand side of what's on the image right now, you can see that Essus is there. That's one of the main moons of Vicious. That's the Zimian homeworld. or at least the homeworld in the Consortium, and you can see that it's half Consortium, half Resistance.
These are all things
Robor has also completely changed. I have to totally change that now, because Robor has been handed to the Zimians as of the 24-hour game. They staged a PR coup. The Resistance staged a PR coup where a former general of Smertios Security did a PR broadcast from Robor and said, Smertios Security have decided that, we can't stand in the way of the Zimians owning what they should rightfully have by now. It's been 200 years, but we are handing it over to the Zimians. We are relinquishing all Consortium claim on this world. Now, Smertios Security didn't actually do that. That was the Resistance, but he was a former general in Smertios Security who everyone believed was still. And Smertios Security is not going to fight the PR of rolling that back and going, you know how we think you know how you think we handed this to them? Yeah, I know they use slave labor to build it and everything, but no, actually we still own it. So no. Yeah, they're not willing to take that PR hit.
So something to resolve later on. Do they ever
just about to change? I just haven't got around to doing 24-hour game changes yet.
Do they ever
Nodens in the top left of the image blew up? That was the world I was talking about at the beginning, which exploded.
Airbnb, that was the one that blew up?
Nodens.
Noden.
It's in the top left. If you zoom out and zoom in again, it's in the top left of this image. In the Sulis system.
Oh, there it is. Nodens.
Your screen hasn't moved for me. I wonder why.
Because computers.
Yeah, fair enough. There we go. Yeah, up there, Nodens.
Up there, you've got Nodens, and they blew up.
It's exploded. It used to be a planet of religious fanatics who hate everyone except humans. They always threatened that they would blow up the world if any non-humans landed on it. And it's very rich in minerals, so it's much harder to mine an asteroid field than it is a world. So the Consortium just kind of conceded. Over 400 years ago, they just let Nodens do its thing as long as it keeps sending materials.
Okay.
Well, there's a particular member of the Resistance known as Red Hand Malachi. He resurfaced and he basically duped a whole bunch of people into landing him on Nodens right next to the device that will blow up the planet. And he walked into the place where that device was and set off that device. So the planet exploded, and he declared a victory for the Resistance because Nodens has been so complicit with the Consortium for so long, so anti-alien, so, unwilling to even consider that others could exist, that they deserve to die.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying pro or con in that direction. That's what he did. Yeah. And the Consortium is going to have to live with the fallout of a planet exploding because of decisions that the Consortium made. At the same time, you can see that there are worlds like Rosmerta or even Clota in the sort of center left of the image, which are entirely locked down and entirely Consortium territory now. They won't let Resistance members in. In fact, they don't let anyone in at the risk that Resistance members might access.
Yeah, Clota's all blue. Yeah.
It's all locked down. And there's an entire session inspired by the computer game Papers, Please, where you sort of have to assess, can this person come in or not? And that's one of the ones in the Living Campaign book that I wrote. I just thought it was a hilarious idea.
Just players deciding whether that person can come in or not.
Is this person someone who can access or not? Or do they have to be imprisoned because they might be Resistance? So the Living Campaign, it's an exciting thing. It gives people something different and a way to change this world. AOIB, you'll see in the top left, it got blown up quite early in the Living Campaign, some years ago now. Ratona, almost right in the center, just above the center line and center. Ratona is a star system that was discovered through the New Worlds expansion that was then handed over to the Resistance. And they're using it as a way to set up a new colony, a new place that is not the Consortium. That's why it's entirely Resistance. It's the one place that is.
Cool.
But we have had loads of We've had loads of sessions. Lebonus in the bottom left there. Once the Resistance tried to declare independence of Lebonus and just say it's independent from the Consortium, it's its own system of government now, it's going to do its own thing. They failed completely. This was a multi-table game that took place at a convention, and they utterly failed. And yeah, I mean, it was devastating. But we are telling stories, really unusual stories.
Yeah, I mean, this is very few things do something like this. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Do they ever contradict each other? You know, you get
very seldom, because I'm usually quite good at updating the living campaign. The 24-hour game took a lot out of me. I'm not going to lie. I haven't done that in well over 25 years. I haven't even tried to run something like that. The closest I've come is a 12-hour day of games at a convention, followed by another 12-hour day of games, but I sleep in between.
Yeah.
The 24-hour game took a lot out of me. And I just haven't got round to it, along with launching the Consortium Kickstarter for the 10th anniversary, because I wanted to get it done during this month, because I want to get these books to people certainly by the new year, but perhaps even by Christmas, if you back the project.
Back the project so you can get it by Christmas.
I can't promise it, but that is my personal aim.
Well, I mean, yeah, with shipping and the holidays and everything's going on, but it's a good promise.
It's hard to know. Certainly you'll get the digital by the end of the year, unless something goes horribly wrong. I'm committing to April in the campaign, but I'm really, something odd would have to happen, like my computer would have to explode for it to not happen by the end of the year.
Well, no, we don't want the computers exploding.
No, that would be unfortunate.
Are you taking any time off, or are you just jumping into the next project?
I'll take a little time off over Christmas, but I do have the Era Shark Ninja project, which is done.
God, yes.
And of course, I've got this other project that I'm hoping to work on with a particularly talented and interesting individual with a lot of knowledge in the particular area regarding sort of bringing Power Rangers to life on the tabletop.
I wasn't even thinking about that one, but
well, I've not forgotten it. And for those who are watching and don't know, I'm hoping to work with our very own OGGM on this.
That's me.
I've been talking to my friend. I did a convention. Oh man, 2 weeks ago I did a convention, and one of the things we did was a workshop which came up with another game similar to Era Shark Ninja in the way that we did a workshop where people got to throw out ideas and we put something together.
It's going to be tough to top Diesel Punk Shark Ninjas, but
I got to be honest, I don't think it tops Diesel Punk Shark Ninjas fighting to free humanity from alien robots that are using them as a slave labor force to drill oil.
So you can eat them later on.
And they are trying to free humanity not for altruism, but because humans taste better when they're free range.
Yes.
No one could hear that without laughing.
I don't know how you fit that all on one page, but that's a great title.
Well, that's the elevator pitch, I guess, right? And I don't think it has topped it. It's come up with some quite fun ideas. Pastel Cthulhu.
Pastel Cthulhu?
Yeah, like pastel, like it's pastel colors, like pinks and glitter and all the rest of it. And basically it influences its followers to use weather control machines to make storms on the surface to force people underground and into its loving embrace. It's known as the Great Mother.
Fun.
And then there are like sky people who are like high technology who drop all their crap on the ground. And these storms are just annoying because they like push the sky cities around where they don't want them to go. So they like send down raiding parties to just kill everyone every so often because like the people on the surface and underground are just really annoying. So it's a fun idea. I don't think it's got the Diesel Punk Shark Ninjas thing going on, but
no.
But it's a fun idea, and I may well develop it. I've actually got the Shark Ninja book right here because I got it ready for the workshop. I thought if I'm going to go do a workshop and say this is a thing and now it's a thing, I'm going to have to prove that I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and make the games. And here is Era Shark Ninja in full. It's ready to go on Kickstarter anytime, really. It'll be next year because there's no point in running one over Christmas, of course. Everyone has other things on their mind and wallet during that period of time, which is completely understandable. But that means that's going to come up in January or February. While you and I are hopefully working on our Power Rangers game.
Yes.
And I was onto that subject. I was chatting with my friend who's I've mentioned him to you before in our conversations, Robert, who's sort of very much my other source of expertise regarding Sentai and Kamen Rider and Power Rangers and all the various other bits and pieces. And we were talking about, should it be 3 or 5? Should there be Zords that are like in Time Force where they're very much exactly the same thing? Or should they be Zords which have more identity like Mighty Morphin? The colors, do they matter? How many colors should we have? What should the colors be? Is it green or black? And is there a 6th Ranger? And so on. I was sort of bouncing ideas off him about what he thinks it should include. And, one of the ideas we came up with, which I'm excited to look into, is sort of bonuses for working together. So the combined weapon, the Mega Blasters, the obviously the Megazord as well, but more the like on the ground level of working.
Yes, the combined teamwork moves and stuff like that.
Exactly, that sort of thing. And I think that would be a really good thing to enshrine in the mechanics. It'll be a different flavor to your average D&D where, fine, you might throw the gnome, but mostly as a joke. It's not really working together at that point either. And you don't have mechanical rewards for working together in a lot of games. Yeah. There are definitely games out there which do. But in a lot of your sort of standard games, you don't have direct mechanical rewards, like you are more likely to hit or you increase your damage by 2.5 times rather than 2 times or whatever by working together. Those sorts of things are not things that you see terribly often. And I think that something like that, I think he's dead right. Powers outside of when you're transformed, similar to Dino Thunder.
Dino Thunder and
Is that a thing we need to think about? Is it only when you are morphed/transformed that we need to have powers? So there are loads and loads of things that he and I spoke about what we're going to do.
Sounds like we just have to do a bunch of different seasons,
Maybe so. I mean, he definitely expressed a preference that you could work with a team of 3 or a team of 5. He definitely expressed a preference for that. We talked about the Super Blue from Masked Rider, which I think might be a unique thing, to be honest. I mean, barring the Secret World of Alex Mack, I don't think I've seen it. I've proved without question that I am a 90s kid now, haven't I?
By mentioning Secret World of Alex Mack, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, right? So, there are loads of options about what we could do. And I'm really excited to look at... I do
have some percolating in the back of the brain, but I haven't...
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, I'm still working on Era Soul Mist. That's not done. I'm hoping to run a session of it at my convention in January to be a really genuine playtest of it.
Awesome. So proud of you. So excited.
I've come up with the idea and I've tested out the mechanics and so on. But I would really like to do a proper arm's length playtest of it. Does this work?
That is always a good question. Does this work? So, not counting Era Super Sentai, looking at your shelf of several dozen different genres, is there one you haven't done yet? Is there one where you're like, oh, I should do Pirate Carpenters? I should do...
So there are 18 Era games at the moment.
18, and then you got all the other games.
Yeah. Including Shark Ninja. Uh-huh. There are 18 different genres of Era game at the moment. And the answer is I have at least 20 more in me.
Okay.
I've got I've got. I've actually moved all my notes to put them out of the way so I can't reach. But I've got an idea around cyberpunk, right? Where you get a little bit of a paranoia flavor to it, as in you'll be resurrected even if you die. But you'll be resurrected having lost your memory and having lost a lot of your equipment and abilities. You'll come back as level 1 if you die. But you'll still exist. And the reason why, and along with all of the cyber corporations and the generic cyberpunk kind of world, with my own spin on it, of course, but those things that you'd expect to see in a generic cyberpunk world, along with these mechanics around coming back to life, cybernetics versus sort of Neo-style reality manipulation. And you've got to make a choice between the two, because cybernetics bring you deeper into the world, and reality manipulation pulls you away from it. So you can't have both. I've got an idea around biopunk, which I'm working on with my good friend Leo Kosh. And he's really pushing forward this Cold War-esque, but sci-fi. Like this Cold War civilizations, one has the water and the other has the minerals, and they hate each other. But they kind of have to trade, and there's this Cold War going on where they're manipulating each other. But there are these pillars, as we call them, who are like these high class, high society individuals who then take control, mental control, direct control. Think Mass Effect 2 Harbinger, I have control, of individuals walking around the world, and they make genetically engineered bodies to do certain roles within the world. That's his idea for biopunk. I've got an idea around, I really want to look again at 3D combat. And the way I'd like to do that is by looking at something called Era Atlantis, which is a game where you will play as sort of sea creature, half humans. Not unlike the Shark Ninja, but a bit more aquatic than that. And the idea being that you're genetically engineered individuals who broke away from humanity on this world, and humanity then don't remember that you exist 100 years later. You broke away from humanity, and humanity might send 19th century, 1800s deep sea diving suits down, but that's about it. They're not really involved. You've got your own politics to deal with.
Cool.
I've got, off the top of my head, I've got a Doom-inspired game that I've been working on for a little while, and I've got some artwork going on for. I'm going to have to open up my files now to give you a few more teasers. But
don't give us too many spoilers. We want to,
What else do I have that sits really on the surface? Well, actually, it's funny because those ones I've just mentioned, Biopunk, Shark Ninja, Marsscape, as I call it, the Doom-inspired one, Friction, and Cyberpunk are the ones that I have written down. Oh, there's one other, which I call Era Kumite. It's a reference to Bloodsport and The Quest.
Yeah. The Quest.
And I thought it would be really fun to look at what you can do in terms of making a role-playing game where only one person needs to be in the ring, but everyone else gets to do something during the fight. Maybe it's whip up the crowd, or maybe it's spot the guy with a blow dart who's going to, get you and hit you with a tranquilizer so that you can't win or whatever. But giving people things to do during the fight, as well as outside the fight, where maybe the fighter has a bit less to do and the other people have a bit more to do,
Mm-hmm.
So loads of ideas. That's just the role-playing games. I mean, we're not talking about the comics or the audio dramas.
Yeah, no, just role-playing. Comics and audio drama would be a different YouTuber.
Also card games. I've got a card game coming to the end. So yeah, loads and loads of stuff. But I always have a lot of stuff on the run. That's not unusual. I
try and focus on 2 or 3 at a time, but you're just blah, 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 blah. Look at him, guys.
You end up waiting for an artist, and they take forever. So
yes, I'm still waiting for art for my artist for 2 projects behind.
There you go.
Where are my So that's always hard because my publisher's like, where is it? And I'm like, somewhere in the ether, All right, one last question. It's done. You finished it. It's on the Kickstarter. You've set it down. You've dusted it off. You've turned off the printing press. You're turning around. You're walking away. What's the one thing you forgot to put in? What's your oh no?
Usually for me, it's a layout problem that I've missed. Whenever I'm doing something, it's always a layout problem that I've missed. Like it's the front page isn't quite perfect. Inside front cover. I mean, I can grab your friction now and literally demonstrate. But I will say, it is axiomatic of being a creator that you are going to open the book, and within 5 seconds of opening the book, you will see something you wanted to change.
Yes. Or you notice a mistake, like, I forgot that sentence.
And in Era Friction, it's this. I put that in the wrong place. Whoops. I mean, it's readable. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. And one of the things about being a creator is you have to live with, you make mistakes sometimes.
Yes.
Right? You can't make everything perfect before it goes out into the world. But what you can do is correct your mistake for the next print run, or correct it for the digital at least. Send out a new digital, that sort of thing. And that's what I try to focus on. I try to do good work, and generally I do. I think generally I achieve a good level of standard, but everyone makes mistakes, and I can go over it, and a proofreader goes over it. 3 beta readers go over every single game that I make. We still miss stuff. It happens. It's life. So for me, it's usually a layout thing. If you're asking about Era of the Consortium and what I would change, initiative. I really want to revisit the initiative rules in Era D10. I just did the standard, you roll 1 dice and you add it to your initiative number that's in every game ever. And it's not intuitive for someone who's never played a role-playing game before. And far more people than I ever imagined play Era of the Consortium as their first tabletop role-playing game.
Wow. See, people, there are people who play games other than D&D.
There are. And whether Era D10 and the games that I create are your thing or not, go and look at other games. I cut my teeth on Paranoia. Not World of Darkness, not Era D10. I didn't just form it out of nowhere because I'm that clever. I'm not that clever. I am absolutely not that clever that I could form it out of nowhere without knowing what to do. I had to learn how to do it.
Cool. Wow, man. Talking to you makes my, synapses fire. And I'm like, oh, I should write. Wow, I've got ideas. He makes me want to write stuff down. It's so exciting to talk to somebody who's excited about working on their products.
Write stuff down. I've never understood anyone who would produce a game and not be excited about doing it. And if you get to the end of your game and you're no longer excited about it, you probably did something wrong. You probably lost sight of what you wanted to do at some point and did something different. You should be as excited at the end to see it go out into the world. Scared, but excited.
Scared that, will my baby survive?
Yeah, you should be as excited at the end as you are at the beginning. And if you're not, that's an indication to me that maybe you lost track of something somewhere.
Yeah.
So think about that. If you're a creator watching this, thinking about it, think about that. Why are you not excited anymore?
Yes.
Because I think you should be.
You should be excited. Otherwise, once you become jaded, the product
I am almost without fail likely to be excited in your idea if you are watching this and you are a creator.
Yes,
I can tell you I am.
Ditto. Show me the ideas.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Even if it doesn't work for me, I'll still go, dude, go do it.
Absolutely.
I want everybody to be the next Kelsey Dion. I want everybody to be the next Ed. I want you all to succeed.
Well, I mean, my bed's not that big, but you can go and succeed. Certainly, I would like you to go and succeed. Build your thing, bring it to life, show people what you envision, and remember, ultimately, if you're a creator, your opinion, what you want to see, the thing that you would change to do The Expanse better, sci-fi role-playing games in general better, superheroes, Power Rangers, the Wild West, whatever, the way you would do that better than anything you've seen, someone else out there wants to see it. You just have to find them.
You just have to find them, yeah. Yeah, that's just the getting somebody to push your product, and finding ways to push it. I'm always like, what sites haven't I gone on yet? There's not enough out there for helping people push their products, but
it's hard to do, and it's hard to learn. And you can call me a success if you would like, and I wouldn't call me a success because I still haven't cracked that. I still don't. I'm not good. I'm very good at making things. I'm not very good at pushing them. Right? I'm not great at that. That's not my forte. And I struggle with it. I really do. And that's kind of my point. It's okay to struggle, right? It's okay to go, I'm not a great mathematician, or I'm not a great marketer, or I'm not a great writer even. I'm not a brilliant artist. That's okay. It's all right. You should work on your flaws, but you should also understand that it's okay to not be the best in the world at something that you are not the best at. Not everyone could do, in fact, no one can do absolutely everything all on their own.
No. I would hope not.
No, I've never met anyone who can. Not really produce stunning artwork and stunning writing and stunning mechanics and a stunning world and a stunning backstory, stunning character creation, stunning character sheets. I've never met anyone who can do all of that on their own. If you try and do it on your own, you are likely to compromise somewhere.
Yes, definitely agree. Any last words before I let you go?
Just thank you for having me back again, my friend. It is an honor as always.
I can't wait to start sending you some Mighty Era Power Rangers ideas. It is next on my pecking list.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. And I can't wait to, come back and be talking about that game that we did together that we brought to life.
Yes.
That'll be amazing.
Hopefully there'll be others. Like, got to start joining me some of them Era games on the things during the holidays.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ed, as always, for reaching out and talking about the thingy. We are talking about the 10th anniversary of Era the Consortium. Let's hope there's another 10. And, when we're 9,000 years old, our two doddering digital brains can talk about it.
I'm not going to lie. I never even thought about how long will it last when I made it. I made a thing.
You made a thing.
I am flabbergasted we are at 10 years.
Yes.
I am amazed and honored, and just the level of faith and trust that the community has shown in me is truly inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, we can be very loyal, no matter how obscure of a game, there's probably somebody still out there playing, the most obscure game you can think of. It's like, there's probably at least one guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you very much for everybody who joined us. Sorry for starting late. I'm here in Ventura and we've got this fire, but hopefully I think it's under control, at least till the next one, because that's what you get for living in California. You get fires instead of earthquakes and tornadoes and what everybody else gets. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. Happy holidays. Thanks, Ed, for joining us yet again. And I will see you all later. Now get off my land.